Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be assessing the benefits and dangers of reforestation. We'll be evaluating to what extent planting trees can help combat climate change, and we'll dive into a case study to see what we can learn from it. Before we begin, however, we must first define reforestation. Reforestation is the regrowing of trees in areas where forests used to exist but no longer exist. However, this is different to afforestation, since afforestation is where someone plants trees on land that originally had no forest cover. So keep in mind that we will be discussing reforestation and not afforestation. Firstly, reforestation is beneficial because it increases biodiversity by creating more habitats. Forests are home to almost half of the world's species, from spider monkeys to woodpeckers and from lynxes to owls. But because of climate change and deforestation, our planet is losing its biodiversity. Wildlife supports ecosystems that we humans rely on. We get water, food and medicine from the natural world, so we must preserve our planet's biodiversity. Reforestation can reduce these adverse effects because replanting trees can create more habitats for animals to inhabit and thrive. More trees also mean that more carbon is absorbed and stored, helping to combat climate change. Trees sequester carbon via photosynthesis and they keep it in their trunks. This is why half of the weight of dried wood is carbon. Forest soils also contain large amounts of this substance. Because trees are major carbon storage reservoirs, we can help fight climate change by increasing their number. Therefore, in many ways, reforestation is a decent solution to climate change, but we must not forget that reducing greenhouse gas emissions is unequivocally more effective. This is something we will discuss later in this video. The economy stands to benefit from reforestation too, since the practice creates more jobs, especially for local people. For example, those who lack the skills in other sectors of work can gain employment by helping to grow new forests and conserve nature. US research suggests that $1 million invested in reforestation can create 7 times more jobs than the same amount invested in fossil fuels, which is why going green and planting trees is vital for the economy. Furthermore, trees conserve soil, and reforestation efforts can reduce desertification. These majestic life forms have extensive root systems that help bind the soil together around the tree. The forest canopies also play a part because leaves and trunks act as a buffer to slow down rain, decreasing the rate of soil erosion. For example, deforestation in many places around the world has increased desertification, creating dangerous dust storms that spew out dust particles. These particles pose significant risks to human health, and according to the World Meteorological Organization, they have in total caused 400,000 premature deaths in the over 30 population. Reforestation is a solution to this problem because of the valuable work trees do to conserve the soil. Lastly, forests improve air quality, so more trees mean fresher air. Trees remove gaseous pollutants such as sulfur dioxide by absorbing them through the stomata along with other gases. Hence, many studies have shown that the quality of air inside forests is significantly better than in cities. But why does this pollution harm us in the first place? Air pollution exacerbates respiratory diseases like asthma and COVID-19, so by planting more trees we could improve our overall health and give future generations fresh air to breathe and enjoy. Now it's time to look into the potential dangers of reforestation. As we've already seen, reforestation can help combat climate change, but it's evident that a forest's stored carbon might not remain stable in the long term. Droughts and fires could kill trees, emitting carbon dioxide. Extreme droughts also weaken our trees' ability to soak up carbon. This accelerates global warming, which is why reforestation efforts can sometimes backfire due to these tragedies. Thus, we must plant trees in areas less likely to be hit by disasters, such as fires and droughts, to ensure that the carbon we store stays stored in the long term. Many say that reforestation is a red herring since planting trees alone is not enough to combat climate change. A study suggests that forests could contribute only 20% of the amount needed to mitigate all greenhouse gas emissions. However, the most effective way of fighting global warming is to reduce emissions, not mitigate them, so focusing solely on reforestation can distract us from the other causes of climate change. And we should not view trees as a silver bullet that will magically solve our environmental problems. Furthermore, reforestation can often end up in failure, so here are 3 things tree planters must get right for success. Firstly, we must avoid monoculture forests at all costs. Planting trees of 1 or 2 species harms biodiversity because they do not create a suitable habitat for wildlife such as birds. In fact, large monoculture plantations are almost always destructive, and some can even emit carbon dioxide instead of absorbing it due to the lack of biodiversity. Hence, forests we plant must be as diverse as possible, with many different species of trees and shrubs to maximize the benefits of biodiversity. We should also endeavour to plant trees that are native to the area rather than non-native ones. Imported species can be invasive and quickly replace local trees which have had a long time adapting to their environment. Non-native forests can additionally deplete water levels and suppress biodiversity, since the equilibrium between animals and vegetation will be disrupted. This is why we must plant the right trees in the right places. Lastly, it is of the utmost importance that we put local communities first while conducting reforestation efforts. If we plant trees in an area and then suddenly leave without a trace, these saplings are bound to fail, since no one will look after them. They could also get cut down. However, if we improve people's lives by growing trees that are beneficial to the locals, we could give the community a reason to protect new saplings, and they will nurture them. For example, by planting trees that bear many profitable fruits, a farmer is less likely to cut those trees down, so we must use reforestation efforts to benefit both the people and the environment to ensure everyone flourishes. Now, let's look into a case study for reforestation. Today, we'll be discussing Ecosia's tree planting scheme in Indonesia to combat the harmful effects of palm oil plantations. Palm oil in Indonesia is devastating. 25% of the country's rainforests have been destroyed and replaced by vast palm oil plantations. This pushes out wildlife and endangers the livelihoods of many farming communities. The environmental degradation caused by these plantations is because the palm oil industry removes plants and trees that could help the ecosystem remain stable. For example, palm oil workers cut down trees that reduce the impact of floods, so natural disasters become more common and the local environment is severely damaged. Plantations also harm endangered animals such as the orangutan and the Sumatran rhino, as they destroy habitats and remove vital food sources. However, the only reason people work in the palm oil industry in the first place is that it's essentially the only way to make good money. Palm trees are essentially money trees, as they bear fruit twice a month, and one can become very rich by selling them. So it's extremely important to encourage local people to seek alternative sources of income. And that's exactly what Ecosia has been doing since 2016. They employ agroforestry, which is where agriculture and forests mix to improve soil fertility and reduce water loss. By using this technique and by setting up tree nurseries, Ecosia has planted nearly 1.5 million trees in Indonesia, all of which are native to the area. The organisation has been restoring forests on former plantations to create alternative sources of income while protecting endangered species such as the tiger. So, to conclude, reforestation is no doubt essential in combating climate change, but we must remember that it is merely one of many. We cannot see it as an easy fix to our environmental problems, since we have already seen that reforestation alone is not enough. Furthermore, tree planters should know how to reforest correctly so that both people and nature can benefit greatly. Otherwise, the effort will backfire, and in many situations, it will do more harm than good. Hence, reforestation will be absolutely vital in the future, but it will not be a silver bullet to solve climate change.